Okay guys, it's still 2021 and new graphics cards continue to be as rare as unicorns. Because of this, we have continued our search for older, budget alternatives that are more freely available and can help you get your systems up and running, albeit with limitations. This is one that we picked up recently. It's an Nvidia Geforce GTX 460 and you can get them for as little as £20 on the second-hand market. Due to its age, it won't be able to compete with modern cards in games, but today we want to find out what you can expect from it if you manage to pick one up. So the cards we managed to pick up specifically is the MSi Geforce GTX 460 Hawk. It was a mid-tier graphics card released by Nvidia in 2010, and we managed to pick it up from eBay for as little as £30, and it came with everything. And when I mean everything, it actually did come with everything. We got the original box, which is actually pretty funky. It opens up just like this. Inside we got all of the original packaging, including the tray and the plastic covers. We got the plastic bags. We even got the little protectors for the PCI slot. We got the 6-pin power to Molex adapters, which are pretty scary looking, but at least they came with it. We got the sponge, and underneath we also got every single cable and adapter that this card came with new. We got a VGA to DVI adapter, we got a mini HDMI to big HDMI adapter, which I've not actually had with any graphics cards before, so that was quite unique to see. We also got these little pin things. Now I'm not quite sure what these are. I'm going to read the manual later and see what they are, but there are some connections on the back of the card for them. We also got the original installation disc, the advertisements that came with it, and the original book. So I'm going to be going through this and see what all these extra cables were. So we actually got pretty much a bargain. It is an Nvidia Fermi card and it was built off the 104 processor. It has 336 shader units, a core clock speed of 625 MHz, a boost clock speed of 900 MHz, and 1 GB of GDDR5. It also supports DirectX 12, so there should be no issues in playing new titles. But that's enough about the card. What we want to do is we want to see how it actually performs today. So we've done some benchmarking and take a look what you think.
Let's go.
Compared to its predecessors, it clearly lacks a lot of things that the modern cards will actually have. For one, the raw power is just not there on the modern titles, and you can see that from the benchmarks. Anything that was actually quite old, it managed to cope quite well with, so your Half-Life games, absolutely easily. Tomb Raider played pretty well, but when we actually started to test something around the 2016 and onwards, like Doom, it actually really struggled in a lot of the settings. We did manage to squeeze out 30 frames per second on Doom, but we had to lower the settings, keeping the resolution at 1080p. But for Metro Exodus, it was actually a bit of a flop because it just barely couldn't keep 30 frames per second at any kind of setting or any kind of resolution. So is it a card that you can actually use in the modern day? Probably not for modern games, but if you just want to get your system up and running, it's actually pretty good. Now, during our benchmarking, we did actually notice something as well about this card. The old Fermi cards are usually well known for getting very hot, but this one actually didn't, and MSi has done a fantastic job of the cooler. At any point, even through extensive benchmarking, we could only get the card to reach 51 degrees, and that was also with a faulty fan. The front fan on this one was actually really, really loud. And we swapped it out with a brand new one, and the card is totally quiet now, and we actually managed to drop a couple of degrees as well, so that's pretty cool. So we didn't get a very good experience with the new games, and that's fine because what you're paying for these kind of cards, you're not going to expect anything more than that anyway. If you have your system and you're still waiting for your graphics card, it would actually make a great alternative to be able to pop in there, and at least you'll be able to play a lot of the older games that you probably love anyway, and while you're waiting for your next one. And because these cards actually look so nice, once you get your new graphics card, you can use them as an ornamental piece for your gaming room. But let me know what you think. Do you have one of these cards or any of the GTX 460 range? Are you still using it, and what kind of games are you playing, and what kind of experience are you getting out of it as well? We're going to continue our journey and look for other alternatives, see if we can pick some up that are even more powerful. But until then, we'll catch you in the next one.